The black tea smells nice.
インスタント？
Is it
それとも
instant
ティーバ
or
ッグかしら？
from a tea bag?
おや、どうしエヴァもいかが
Would
で
you
す？
like some too, Comrade Eva?
カップはないので。
We
ロー
have
ト
no
に
more
なりますが
cups, so you'll just have to use a funnel. A gold butterfly drifted onto the balcony and turned into Eva.
ベルンカステルの様子はどう？
How's Ben Castle doing?
一なる真実の
Will
死
it
の
be a
封印
while
の時
longer before she breaks the
まだだい
seal
ぶかかるのかしら？
of the Book of the Single Truth?
それを伝えに来たの。
That's what I came to talk about.
封印が解
She
けた。
says the seal has been broken.
おめでとうございます。
Congratulations!
いよいよですね。
So, the time has finally come.
あなたの人生の
The
ピリ
period
オ
to
ド。
mark the end of your life.
鍵を持って
Take the key
ベルン
and
カ
go
ステ
to
ル卿のところへ
Lady
お行きなさい
Berencastle.
な。使い魔の猫が
One of her
案内
cat
してくれる
familiars
わ。
will guide you. Two emerald sparkles flew in. They were the glinting eyes of a black cat. The cat flicked its tail elegantly with the dignity of a high-class attendant.
わかったわ。
Got it. Then
ちょっと行ってく
be
る。
back in a bit. Angel rose from her seat. She did it casually as though she really was just heading out for a short trip. However, her lips would never touch her half-finished cup of tea again.
短い間でしたが、
We
楽し
weren't
かったで
together
す。
long, but I enjoyed it.
同族嫌悪
It was
って
very
感情を知ることが
enlightening.
でき
It
る
was a very
貴重な
enlightening
時間でした。
experience to learn what disgust from your kind feels like.
私こ
From
そ
your own kind. Ah, ok, perché stavano parlando di Witches of Truth, ok? It was a very enlightening experience to learn what disgust from your own kind feels like. Same here.
次に会えたら
Next time we meet, you'll have to teach me the trick to making this tea so terrible.
ぜ嬉しい？
Are you happy?
私が12年
Now you'll finally get to learn that secret I've been hiding from you these
意地
past
悪して
12
きた秘密
years.
が。嬉しいわ。
I'm happy. Yeah.
今なら
Now
エ
I
リ
can
カの気持ちがわか
understand
る
how
わ。
Erika feels.
あんたが死ぬまで
It
守っ
feels
た
like
秘
I've
密
taken
を
a
暴
shot
けて
back at you, exposing the secret that you kept until your death.
それは気持ちのいいこと。
Is that a good feeling?
多少はマシって程度だ。
Well, it's better than nothing. Angel nodded towards the black cat to let it know that she was ready. The cat nodded back in a refined manner, indicated that he wanted Angel to follow, and leapt from the balcony. Without turning back, Angel followed it, jumping out into the air as though swimming. Eva watched her go. An expression of ridicule and scorn was not the one that crossed her face.
いってらっしゃい、エンジェ。
Good luck, Angel.
それもあん
This
たの
is
選
the
んだ
path
道よ。
you've chosen.
あんたはもう6
You
歳じゃない。
aren't 6 years old anymore.
18歳なのよ。
You're 18.
自分の人生
Choose how to live your
自
own
分で
life.
選択しなさい。過保護なおばさまだことで。
What an overprotective aunt you are.
私は式典の様
Oh,
子を
I'm
見に
going
行
to
く
watch
け
the
れど。
ceremony.
あなたは
What about you?
もうじき出陣の時間ですので。
It's almost time to begin the attack, so I'm heading for the ships.
手土産にお出会い
I've got to go pick up Beato's corpse.
腹渡はパーテ
The guts will go to the party.
ィー。私は
I get to
皮を
keep
も
her
らえること
skin,
になって
so
ます
let's
ので
stuff and mount
剥
it.
製を作りましょう。これで謎のベールに包ま
So
れた
this is the
六
end
剣
of
島
the
物語も
mysterious
おしまい
tale
ね
of Rokkenjima,
するとその
which
粉で
means that it's
あん
also the end of
おし
you.
まいになります。
I mean, you are a piece from there, right?
私はただの駒
A
よ。
piece is all I
駒
am.
の役
The
目
role
は
of a piece is
ゲー
to
ムが終わる
remain
まで自
faithful
分の
to
役
its
目に
role
忠
until
実
the
である
game
ことか。
ends.
ゲームが
So
終わった
it's
後の
not
こ
a
とを考
peace
え
place to
る。
worry about what happens after the game is over.
そうですね。
True.
それは私も
And
同
it's
じ
the same for me.
お互い
Let's both enjoy this time while we have it. Well then, allow me to take my leave.
じゃあね
Later. Good luck with your work. After exchanging elegant bows, the two witches vanished at the same time. Nothing remained except for some half-finished teacups and the aroma of the tea itself. One after another, luxury cars stopped in front of a high-class hotel in the city, and guests began to step out of them. Hey, Professor Otsuki! What a surprise! I haven't seen you since the last convention. All of the guests gathered here were very rich and cultured. A single hobby tied all of them together. They were the witch hunters. Like-minded people who enjoyed exploring various interpretations of the Rokkenjima mystery. Still, I wonder if it's really true. It's hard to believe that Ushiromi Eva's diary actually exists. It really is. I had heard rumors of it myself. A secret diary said to have been hidden away by Ushiromi Eva just before her death. Rumor has it that she wrote the details of the Rokkenjima's truth in there. It reminds me of that fable of the king with the donkey's ears. Humans truly are tragic creatures, incapable of keeping quiet about a secret, even if no one else could possibly learn of it. From what I've heard, a collector from Dubai offered to buy it for $10 million. Incredible! More evidence of the fascination that the Rokkenjima mystery is capable of stirring. Conversations like this were breaking out passionately all over the place. Furthermore, the guests weren't the only ones pouring in. The press was also there in force. The Rokkenjima mystery had created such a large movement that at one time it became a social phenomenon. Though that had died down slightly in recent years, it was still a topic fiercely debated across the internet. It was hardly any surprise that the discovery and imminent release of Ushiromi Eva's diary, which contained the truth of that mystery, had caused an uproar. And on top of all of that, the mysterious forger Ito Ikukuro was to appear publicly for the first time. In fact, it seems that Ito Ikukuro and Hachijo Tohya, the up-and-coming mystery novelist, were the same person. Of course, that meant that Hachijo Tohya would also be appearing in public for the first time. The fact that she was actually an enigmatic female author, despite having thought to be male, would have been enough to cause a stir on its own. Before the diary unveiling party, a press conference was held in one of the rooms of the hotel. Indeed, I am Hachijo Tohya. We now know that in your previous book signings you went to the lengths of using a double to avoid appearing in public. What has caused you to change your mind and appear before us this time? The legend of the Rokkenjima witch has given birth to endless tales. Considering the weight of such a legend's demise, and being the mere writer that I am, I felt obligated to show myself as a sign of respect. As a forger, you announced on the web that you had reached the truth. Does that mean that you have already read the contents of that diary? And very soon those contents will be revealed to everyone. Pardon me for asking, but is there solid proof that the contents of this diary are the truth? It seems that some are claiming it to be no more than the personal account of a single deceased person. That is not the case. I guarantee it. The truth is written in this diary. A stir passed through the crowd as the room was filled with camera flashes. This ends Hachijo's interview. Allow us to express our deep gratitude for all the members of the press for coming today. And now we would like to move on and allow you to take photos of Madame Ushiromi Eva's diary. A hotel worker pushed forward a card covered by a veil. Then, after looking to Hachijo for approval, he removed the veil. There lay Ushiromi Eva's diary. The book of the single truth sat there, waiting for its seal to be broken. Hachijo held it to her chest and laughed enigmatically. Camera flashes came from everywhere, making the book of the single truth glint. And that is all for now. If you would all please move to the assembly hall. Still holding the diary, Hachijo left the press conference room, escorted by men from the hotel, until she went through the door and that said no entry unless authorized. The journalists continued to surround her and ask questions, hoping to gather just one more comment. When the door slammed shut, the world twisted. The hotel employees became black cats wearing capes. Hachijo had turned into Fezarin. Things are getting pretty crazy out there. Did you enjoy it? It was tiring, though not a bad experience. I must say, though this diary truly is heavy. I must say so, this diary is truly heavy. Truly is. Fezarin tossed the diary and Ben Castle caught it. I will rest in one of the waiting rooms. You're up again pretty soon. There's no time to rest. In that case, call it a short break so that I can properly enjoy this long-awaited excitement. I need to borrow that book. I promised Ange that I show her first. I see. In that case, do as you please. Fezarin left, followed by her cat attendants. After watching her until she was out of sight, Ben Castle disappeared as well. Like Erika's room, Ben Castle's was a balcony without a handrail dug out of a bookshelf cliff. Angie had been kept waiting for some time, but she had waited patiently, looking down at the world below her. I'm late, aren't I? Sorry about that. After Ben Castle appeared, the black cat gave a bow and vanished. Here you go. I've brought it with me. The book of the single truth. Can I touch it? Do as you like. Ben Castle set it on the table and beckoned Angie forward. Slowly, Angie approached it. So, this is Aunt Eva's diary. That's right. Inside it, you will find the single truth that you wanted. You do have the key, right? Yeah, right here. Angie took the key out, looked at it in her palm and gripped it tightly. Even that heavy lock that held the diary so securely was fated to be swept aside easily as soon as Angie readied herself. I won't rush you. You don't have to open it until you're ready. In here, there's the truth of what happened on October 4th and 5th, 1986, right? Yes. Everything that you offered up your life in the hope of learning is there. In that instant, inside of Angie, two angels appeared, taking control of her body at the same time. On one hand, she knew that she had already paid a great price to learn the truth. This part of her gripped the key, wanting to act quickly to prevent the moment of hesitation that might lead her to refuse to learn the truth now, at the final moment with the book of the single truth right before her. On the other hand, a feeling that she was betraying the brother and family that watched over her warmly made her bite her lower lip. However, though she shook, she could do nothing but watch as her right hand slowly brought the key towards the lock. What am I hesitating for? Inside the diary, there's the final destination of my sad, pitiful 12-year-long journey. Was 12 years not enough of that? Do I want to keep living that way? That Onichan and all those others, those are all illusions created by my heart. My naive hope that a miracle might still occur. If I put my two options on the scale, then the path I should choose is clear. Slowly, I pushed the key into the lock and twisted. The lock opened with a click, and at the same time, it felt as though a crack ran through the key in my hands. Maybe a part of its intricate design had broken off. I couldn't tell where it had broken just by glancing at it. However, for some reason, its golden glint seemed dulled somehow. It's because you've made your choice with that key. A bit of magic has disappeared. What kind of magic? Didn't Battler tell you? He said you couldn't hand that over to anyone else. That magic, which left the decision to you, has just fulfilled its role and disappeared. That key is just a key now. It can't do anything but lock and unlock that diary. I see. Then I guess I have no more use for Onichan's key. Can I have it? Once you've read that diary, I lock it up again. Opening that lock will be a big part of tonight's ceremony, it seems. I see. Do whatever you want. I don't give a damn what happens after I find the truth. Bencastle slid the key from where it lay on the table and put it in her own pocket. Go ahead then, before the courage that led you here fades. I lifted up Aunt Eva's now unlocked diary. The lock was open. Even the hinge had been released by now. There was no longer anything standing in the way of me opening to the pages within. I thought of taking a deep breath, however I decided against it. I have prepared myself for this long ago. So stupid to feel my reluctance further. I opened it. Violently, ruthlessly. I knew that this was the right way to open to the truth that awaited me inside. As soon as the cover was opened, a brilliant light poured out and my mind went hazy. The truth was sent to my mind directly, without letters or words. Tell me what happened on that day on Rokkenjima. My consciousness returned gradually. Nothing was written in the book before me. Of course, this was my own blank and empty notebook. I was at school just sitting idly with my notebook open. The world had stopped. The hands of the clock had stopped too. In that case, the auditorium should have been filled with silence. However, I could hear a small commotion. In this world of suspended time, I could see dark shapes sneaking about behind the unmoving students. They were students with goat heads. They were sneaking glances at me from behind the frozen students, whispering something to each other. I know, I can hear them. Everybody knows. One after another, students with goat heads slipped out from every conceivable hiding place. They slipped around, all of the students stopped in time and gathered around me. Then they all jeered out things in an endless stream, and possibly aware that I could hear them, showered me with giggles and sneers and comments among themselves. However, nothing that came from the goat's mouth reached my ears as words. This was a world without letters or words, so no words could reach me. However, their emotions and meanings did reach me, so I knew what it was that they were saying. And then, when I was able to visualize it, this happened. One after another, the goats opened their massive jaws, showing their fangs that dripped with saliva, and came forward to bite me. Time was stopped for me. I was aware, but I could not move. Literally, that wasn't true. However, I was pretending that I couldn't hear them, so I couldn't move. The goats bit me all over my body, leaving their fang marks, licking me. Maybe they didn't like the taste of my clothes. Taking the advantage of the fact that I couldn't move, they chewed through my clothes one by one. Over and over again, the goats stuck their tongues, their jaws, their fangs into my naked body. I was covered with drool and bitten all over. Bright red teeth marks were left behind as sharp fangs pierced my skin, leaving trails of blood. They licked up that blood like real goats, hurting and humiliating me. As I hung my head, one of the goats pulled on my hair, forcing me to look up, and spoke. This time it wasn't conceptual, but words I could hear. However, they weren't words of the human world. They were a witch's words, the red truth, which signifies absolute truth. This is the truth of the Rokkenjima incident. Won't accept it. It doesn't matter if you accept it or not. This is the truth. After all, I won't accept it. I won't. I'll never accept a truth like that. Never. Whether you accept it or not, that doesn't change the truth. After all, this is the single truth, proven in red. Who cares about the truth? So stupid, so pointless. I'm the one who gets to decide if that's the truth or not, right? If it's the red truth, I won't acknowledge it, I won't permit it, and I definitely won't accept it. The red truth is absolute. Who is it absolute for? It's absolute for you guys, right? It's not absolute for me. I won't let you contaminate my truth with yours. ENG, calm down. You're the one who wanted to know, right? My truth is that Aunt Eva is the culprit. Aunt Eva killed everyone. Everything is her fault. And mom and Nichon and all of the others are just victims. It's no one's fault. No one's fault. How could it be? How could it be? Your aunt will always be on your side, Angie-chan. Yeah, I get it now. I know what you meant. That's right, Aunt Eva. You're the culprit. You're the culprit. In this world that's messed up and broken for not realizing, and it's the world that's messed up and broken for not realizing that. I'm the right one. I'll deny the right truth. Deny the whole world. Oh, in that case, try writing a red truth that only you can write. But how is it possible for a human to write with red truth? It is possible. There's a red ink that only humans can write with. Enja-san, please come down. I'm the right one. The world's wrong. I'll write it. I write the truth with the real red truth. 20. Requesting urgent support on the roof. Enja-san, wait! Don't be hasty! Look out! Goodbye, Enja.
Have a nice day. 記してあげる。これが私の記す真っ赤な真実。お前たちの世界の真実など私は受け入れるものか。
I'll write it out. This is my blood red truth. I'll never accept the truth of your world. Enja's body went past the edge of the balcony. The air which she had once been able to swim through was now completely merciless for some reason. Enja's body plunged straight into the darkness below. Castle just watched the scene play out in silence. Behind her, men in black suits rushed up to the fence, clutching it and screaming. This is 20. Enja-san jumped off. Damn, I can't see her from here. Quickly, investigate the ground area. It's no use. There's no way. Maybe she was caught by that safety net. Let's make sure. What fools. If you jump straight down from this height, do you really think that such a flimsy safety net could possibly save you? As a witch of miracles, I, Castle, guarantee that such a miracle certainly won't occur. Enja's body fell from the skyscraper-like bookshelf and slammed against the floor of the City of Books. Looking down from Castle's balcony, which was as high as a skyscraper's roof, could it have looked like a lovely red pressed flower? It couldn't have looked like anything. In the same way that the death of a single lonely girl who rejected the world and died alone wouldn't leave an impression on any of the world's people. She probably died instantly. It was only natural. She had fallen straight down from such a height after all. Is it even conceivable that she wouldn't die instantly after something like that? The index finger on the right hand of her corpse was stuck out as though he had traced something. Could it be that, by some impossible miracle, she had really escaped an instant death? And in her final moments, using the ink of the red blood draining from her, could she possibly have written her own personal red truth? However, no one would ever be able to tell what she had written. After all, that red blood pouring up from her corpse had run all over it. Even this was your decision, Engie. Eva was looking down at that beautiful flower of blood radiating from Engie's corpse. I tried to give you a chance to live, but you never truly made an effort to live in the future that began after the age of 6. And so, after 12 years, you will finally return to where you started. The eyes on Engie's corpse were closed. However, there was no way of knowing if this was a peaceful thing. Slowly, the corpse began to break down. By the end, he had become a messy lump of flesh, with only a few parts recognizable as human. It was hardly surprising. How else would she look after falling from that height and slamming against the asphalt? You managed to die. However, this doesn't mean that everyone will be waiting for you in heaven. After all, you reached this place by rejecting all of those in heaven. See you in hell. No, that's probably where we are right now. So long, Engie. Ah, Eva. Perfect timing. Did you call for me, my master? Dispose of this crap meat for me, if you wouldn't mind. I'm going to put this back. In Bercastle's hands was the key which had lost its magic when Engie had made her decision, and the book of the single truth which had been locked up again. As you wish, my master. After looking down one more time, Berncastle vanished. When she had gone, Eva summoned some cat familiars and ordered them to clean up. The black cats gathered Engie's flesh and scattered limbs and threw them into a tin bucket. Even in this miserable form, Engie's soul was still living. Perhaps living is a poor description. She was unable to die. From now on, forever. She would drift along in the deepest depths of oblivion, covered by the dust of oblivion, until she finally disappeared. She continued to question herself. What did the truth mean to her? What was right where was that place she could call home? As her flesh began to cool, even the energy to ask these questions began to fade. Eventually she would forget her everyday memories and even the reason why she was suffering. However, there was one thing she would never be able to forget. That was the anguish. From this point forth, she would suffer endlessly without even knowing why. By the time the cat finished flinging her corpse into the bucket and dumping it into the sea of nothingness, Engie had forgotten even her own name. What's this sound I keep hearing? Yes, it must be the sound of rain. In that case, what are those bright lights coming towards me? I don't know. However, they came at me with a screeching sound and then stopped right in front of me. A blaring noise came at me over and over. What's ever shining those bright lights is frightening me. It's probably telling me to get out of the way. However, I was incapable of moving even a finger. There was a sound of a car door opening. Car door. Apparently, I was lying on the asphalt under the pouring rain. I saw a figure, apparently the driver, open an umbrella and came towards me. Is this your garden? The figure questioned me. Of course, I couldn't answer it. If it is, then I must apologize. Yes, on a day with such a fine weather, anyone would want to take a nap in such a lovely garden as this. And yet, unless my memory fails me, the figure crouched down and looked at me looked at my face. It was a woman. This is a public highway you're sleeping on. Do you want to become roadkill? Or maybe you already are roadkill. Well now, which one is it? I clenched my chest. I felt I needed to answer somehow with established communication, so after a lot of effort, I managed to let a short groan escape my lips. I see. So you aren't roadkill yet. And that was how I met Ikuko. The body is in very frail condition. Also, it is probable that there will be memory defects. We won't know for sure until the CT scan, but brain damage is also a possibility. It's lucky that damage is all we have to deal with. Spend much longer in a spot like that and things would likely have been much worse. True. In any event, I recommend getting this checked at a large hospital. Thank you, doctor. Please, keep this off the record. It may not be much, but here's some money for your troubles. I see no reason to speak of this needlessly, but... No, I couldn't possibly accept that much. In the end, the doctor took the money and swore to keep quiet about the matter. Eventually, Hachijo returned. Oh, you've been awake. How do you feel? I nodded weakly, letting her know that it wasn't so bad for now. But where is this place? A room I have absolutely no memory of, in a house I don't remember at all. And first and foremost, here's a woman that I've never seen. To start off, let me introduce myself. I'm Hachijo Ikuko. I don't mind if you address me in a friendly manner as Ikuko, or if you prefer to call me Hachijo-san and keep things more formal. Hachijo Ikuko. The Hachijo family owns a lot of land and is well known in these parts. Unlike my accomplished brothers, I'm what you might call a little eccentric. After I got into a bit too much mischief that was good for me, my parents finally ran out of patience and kicked me out. I'm now confined to this house. As a hobby, I like to read detective novels and also to write them. My age? Is a single woman's secret. My heart is that of a girl, but I'm approaching the point where calling myself one would be increasingly absurd. With the haze my mind was in, it was extremely hard to make out what she was talking about. However, I was able to pick up on the fact that she was trying to talk to me cheerfully. So, what's your name? My name... So logically, I know that being a human, I must have a name. But I do have the feeling that I did indeed have a name. However, no matter how hard I tried to remember what it was, it just made my head hurt.
何か名前以外に覚えている
Is
こと
there
は
anything you can remember besides your name? Who am I? My head. Ugh. No, even my heart was a mass of torn flesh, and I couldn't remember a thing, nor even who or what I was. But I must remember. I had some kind of purpose or maybe a mission. In order to remember that, I first have to remember who I am. Who am I? What is my name? Where was I born and what was my birthday? I need to remember something, anything. Age.
年
Age?
私の年は
Oh,
秘密です
that's my little secret. 18.
私が18
I
歳
look like I'm 18? I'm 18.
あ
Oh, so
そうなったの
that was your
年齢
age.
やれやれ
Well now,
政治が過
I
ぎると
thought you
思いま
were
した
being a bit too flattering. When I asked myself how old I was, the number 18 floated into my mind. To be honest, I didn't really feel 18. My mind felt much younger than that, and my pathetic body felt much older.
なるほど
I see.
そなたは18
So
歳と
you're
いうわけだ
18.
そしてそれ以上
And
の
that's
ことは
all you can
何
remember.
も覚えていないと
I nodded weakly. I never knew that knowing nothing about yourself could make you feel so powerless.
では
In
そ
that
なたが
case,
自分
until
の
you
名を思い
remember
出す
your
ので
name,
18と書いて
let's give
ゴ
you
ー
the
ルと呼
name
ぶ名前を
Tohya,
与えましょう
written with the characters for 18.
八条東
Hachijo Tohya.
いかがです
What do you think? Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
自画自賛
Yes, I must say I'm impressed myself very much with that one. Hachijo Ikuko gave a satisfied laugh. From then on, I took the name Hachijo Tohya. My inability to move my body was apparently due to a traffic accident. On that day, I had been hit by a car and Ikuko had picked me up from where I lay on the street. If she hadn't hit the brakes, she probably would have driven straight onwards, thinking she'd run over a dead dog or something. Later on, I, perhaps rudely, suspected that the one who hit me might have been Ikuko herself, but when I saw her completely undamaged front bumper, I gave up on that theory. Hachijo Ikuko lived in a small but lovely mansion on top of a small hill in a village with a view of the sea. But also owned a hill behind her and was more than capable of enjoying the 4 seasons in privacy. As time passed slowly, my rehabilitation continued and my ability to move improved little by little. However, it seems I had really suffered some form of brain damage. Finding out who I was looked like it would be a very difficult task. In the beginning, when I couldn't bear knowing my identity, my head often hurt so much that I felt as though it would explode. However, as soon as I accepted the fact that I was a new person with the new name of Hachijo Tohya, the headaches became less frequent. The whole time no memories returned to me except the fact that I had been 18. However, I was unable to remember any more, unable even to be sure that 18 was my true age. And eventually I stopped trying to remember my former self.
おはよう、東野
Good morning,
昨
Tohya.
日はひどい
That
嵐で
was
したが
quite a storm
よく
last
眠れ
night.
ましたか
Were you able to sleep well? I had some trouble falling asleep, so I decided to read your manuscript.
おやおや
My,
どこまで読んで
how
くれた
far
ので
did
す
you
か
manage to get? I finished it.
これは驚
Oh,
いた
now that's a
あ
surprise.
の量の原
You
稿用
managed to
紙を
read through
一晩
all
で読み
that
切っ
in
た
a
というの
single
ですか
night. I was surprised too. Once I got into it, I had finished before I knew it. It was like I was just skimming it, or maybe like I was reading each page in a glance.
どうやらそなたは
It sounds like you have some talent at speed reading. So, how was it?
感想は
What did you think of it? I liked it a lot. Still, if you don't explain that part about the ocean currents a bit more clearly, it might be a little unfair for the reader. But I thought it was great that you had the foreshadowing with the ring night, with the ring right there at the beginning. After I finished, I had to go back to the beginning and slap myself for being so easily tricked. I think that feeling is the best part of a detective novel. Did I say something to offend you? If I did, I apologize.
いやなぜ
Oh, of
謝るの
course not. Why are you apologizing?
驚いています
I'm just shocked, that's all.
そなたの的
The
確な感想
pertinence of your
は
remarks is
賞賛に値するで
commendable.
しょうそなたはどう
It
やら
seems you must also have a talent as a critic or a detective novel writer. A detective novel writer. Critic. From across the fog of oblivion, I seem to remember myself fighting and arguing about mysteries or something like that. That way of fighting, which I must have learned in the past, sent a surge of excitement through me. Mystery. Fighting. My head hurt. I accepted a painkiller and swallowed it with fresh water brought up from the well. Who am I, really? But no matter how much I thought, I couldn't remember. I was told that the frequency of my headaches could be lessened by brain surgery, but also that there were no guarantee that it would do my memory any good. Ikuko said that she would let me have surgery if I wanted it. However, I refused. Even if I can't remember it, the real me is still there, sleeping inside my head. I was scared that the surgery might harm that me somehow. By now, I've gotten used to dealing with headaches. As long as I don't force myself to remember the past, the headaches don't torment me every day. So bit by bit, I became free of the headaches and got used to my new life as Hachijo Tohya. Gradually, my interest shifted from myself to Ikuko. Hachijo Ikuko, a very strange woman. First up, she was apparently the daughter of a very well-off family, just as she had said. However, she was considerably eccentric, and the various mischievous incidents she spoke of had apparently gotten her within an inch of being disowned. As a result, she had been given this house and had been ordered to live here quietly and alone. She had never been a particularly social person, so she happily accepted this new state of affairs, living however she pleased with the servants to take care of her. She had no friends, no one ever came to visit. Besides me, the only one she ever talked to was Bern, an old black cat she kept as a pet. I didn't know her real age. She didn't seem to be too old to marry yet, but she wasn't likely to meet anyone new leading an isolated life like this. Isolated life. Despite her insisting that she just hadn't met anyone worth her trouble, I felt as though she'd already given up on marriage. Her everyday life changed very little. She would either read through the many detective novels that were brought to her, or else write detective novels herself. At first, I thought she was some novelist at a private retreat, plugging away at her new book. However, the manuscripts she finished just ended up clipping together in a pile. With me as the sole exception, it didn't look like she gave them to anyone else to read. A novelist is someone who writes novels for other people to read. So I figure you could hardly call her a novelist when she kept writing novels no one would ever read. Ikuko-san, why don't you ever show these to anyone?
そなたには見せていま
I
す
show them to you.
無論
Only the better ones, of course. Haven't you ever thought of sending one to some publishing company? It's a shame for things to be this way when your works are so interesting. My works can stand up against the pros. I sent one in once, but it was absolutely no good. I understand my position. This is just an amateur's pastime. I don't think amateur is a fitting word for someone who's so well versed in detective novels from all time and places across the world. Being a big eater doesn't mean you'll make a good cook. Reading every detective novel you can get your hands on provides no guarantee of being a good detective novelist. That's how it is. That's why this is nothing more than a pastime. Is it really fun to write novels that you won't show to anyone? It used to be. Once. What about now? I like getting to hear your opinions. At any rate, I've finished writing the chapter. I'll go make some tea, so would you mind reading it again and sharing your thoughts with me? Saying this with a smile, Ikuko thrust a pile of manuscripts paper at me. When it comes to detective novels, reading and writing are the same. It's boring if you do it by yourself. You only get something really precious when you share the world with someone else. Headache. Tohya? Are you okay? I'll go get some headache medicine. I'm fine. I'm more interested in this manuscript. I can't wait for the new chapter. The seasons passed. Together with Ikuko in this town whose name I didn't even know, I spent my days debating detective novels and talking about ideas for new plots. At a glance they may have appeared to be stale and unproductive days. However, I felt satisfaction with my new life as Hachijo Tohya. And so, the curtain closes on the strange tale of Kurokobi Island. The end. With a dramatic flourish of the fountain pen, Ikuko signified that her manuscript was now complete. What do you think? I tried using your plot to make Tsukicho's tragic love scene at the end a bit more moving. I think it's very good. I think the last farewell is sad enough to make it moving as a story, not just a reasoning puzzle. That's thanks to your plot. Compared to this work, everything I've written before now is worth little more than scrap paper. Even as I was writing it, I was excited to be the first person in the world who got to read it. I've never felt like that before. Oh, I just mentioned some ideas. You're the one who turned them into such a fascinating story, Ikuko-san. Before I knew it, she had roped me in so well, and I too had dipped my toe into the world of detective... Before I knew it, she had roped me in as well. Not so well, as well, and I too had dipped my toe into the world of detective novel writing. Apparently, the old me had possessed some knowledge of mysteries and detective novels and the like. And my talent seemed to be of a fairly unorthodox kind. I turned famous mysteries from across the world onto their head, always looking to twist those ideas into something new. However, a few ideas aren't enough to make a book. No meal is complete if all you can do is chop up vegetables. It was thanks to Ikuko's writing, a skill she had built up over the many years, that my ideas were formed into a work of fiction. This first work was we had authored together, The Strange Tale of Kurokobi Island, had brought out the best of our individual quirks, and Though I hate to brag, it turned into a masterpiece that we could show to anyone without shame.
もしもし
Hello?
書斎にシャンパンを持ってきてください
Hello? Please bring us some
グ
champagne.
ラスはあなたの
Bring a glass for yourself as
こ
well.
れまでで一番の
This is the
作品が
best
仕上が
work
り
I've
ました
ever created within these
お
walls.
祝いしましょう
Let's celebrate. Ikuko called for some champagne over the internal phone line. Joined by the servant who happened to be working that day and the cat Bern, we raised our glasses high and toasted our accomplishment. Ikuko-san, I have an idea if you don't mind.
聞こ
Let's hear
う
it.
そなたの話すアイデアならシャワーとトイ
There
レ
is
中でな
never
け
a
れば
wrong time for your
いつだって
ideas,
耳を
as
貸そう
long as I'm not in the shower or on the can. Why don't we try submitting our book? I've never read something this interesting before. I'm sure lots of other people will want to read it.
そうでしょうか
You think
過去
so?
にもそう思い
I
投稿
tried
しま
once
し
in
た
the
が
past, thinking the same thing, but the result was... I believe in your talent, Ikuko-san. What about you?
私とてそなたの
Of
才能を
course I
確
believe
信
in
して
your
います
talent. Then it's decided. To Ikoko-san's big debut.
東野のメジャーデビュ
To
ーを祝って
Tohya's big debut. We clinked our glasses once more. The evening wore on. We must have had way too much to drink. Before I knew it, I must have passed out on the sofa. There was a blanket covering me. Ikuko-san must have put it there. The lights were out in the study, but it wasn't dark. The computer's monitor was glowing. Outside, it had started to rain. It reminded me of the day Ikuko-san found me and took me in. Because of that, whenever it rains, I found myself wondering who I was, and I usually get headaches. So I wasn't sure whether the pain was because of the rain or because I drank too much. Ikuko-san, turn on the lights. Using a computer in the dark is bad for your eyes.
おや、起
Oh,
こしてしまい
did
ま
I
した
wake you up? No, I slept well. Thanks to that, I feel refreshed. I turned on the lights and looked out at the gap in the curtains, as I thought it was the sort of pouring rain that always reminded me of that day. It's raining pretty hard out there. The rain looks pretty strong too. I hope the rain gutters don't get clogged with leaves again.
先日掃除をさせましたから
I just had them
当分は
cleaned the
大
other
丈夫で
day,
しょう
so they should be fine for a while. Her answer sounded a little abstracted. Apparently her attention was absorbed by the computer. You've been pretty hooked on that computer lately, Ikuko-san. Did you find an interesting article or something?
バカバカしいとは思いつつも
Maybe a bit juvenile, but it's still pretty interesting.
ほら
You
Maybe
know the
Rokkenjima
Rokkenjima incident. Rokkenjima?
ロッケン島ミステリーの話は
I told you about the
先日した
Rokkenjima mystery a few days ago,
こ
remember?
れが今
It's-
ネットでブ
It's
ームに
been
なってい
really
るのです
huge on the net lately.
それをめぐる
The
議論や
discussion,
考察
theories, and especially the
中でも辞書が
forgeries
実
have been
に
quite
面白い
entertaining.
議書という
Oh,
のは
the forgeries are
スキーの
stories
島に
with the
流れ着い
premise
た
that further
後ろには
message
マヤの
bottles
署名
signed
があ
by
るボトル
Ushirami
メッセー
Maria
ジが
existed
他にもあった
and
と
washed
仮定
up
して書いてあるの
on
ね
one of the nearby islands. Only too happy to share her knowledge of the subject, Ikuko continued her explanation at length. However, a huge bell was clanging inside my head. The noise was so great that I thought my head would split open. Unable to tell what the floor and what was the floor and what was the ceiling, I cramped and clutched my hand.
トーヤ大丈夫です
Tohya,
か
are you okay? My head hurts. A Rokkenjima explosion accident. The many disquieting rumors surrounding it. The scheming of the relatives after Ushirome Akinzo's vast wealth and the hidden gold. And the truth? Ushiromiya Eva, the sole survivor, said nothing. Eventually, the granddaughter Ushiromiya Enge, who had escaped harm because she was absent on that day, would inherit everything. Enge. Ushiromiya Enge. I am Ushiromiya. No good. My head is splitting. An incomprehensible scene pierced my eyelid from the inside of a blade of light. Just what am I looking at? Who are these people calling to me, but not to the name of Tohya? Who am I? Who are these people? What is this memory? Help me, Ikuko. Someone else's memory is hurting me. My head's splitting. I can hear the sorrowful sound of the wind, and that must be rain. Who am I again? I am Ushiromiya.
Enji! Enji!